The new Daredevil show is finally here after about 7 years of waiting, and somehow there still isn't a Daredevil game, unless you count the 2003 Daredevil game, which was made about 50 years ago. I know some of you boomers out there are going to say it looks fine, but it really doesn't. Just stop lying to yourself. And on that note, we're going to make a Daredevil game. So here's what I have in mind for this game. It will be a stealth game, however the stealth will be optional, but don't go crying in the comments if you get absolutely bodied by the enemies. Obviously we're going to include a fast-paced combat system and a pretty decent parkour system. Also a sort of detective mode to demonstrate his superhuman abilities. Now you've probably noticed I've said the word we a lot, and that's because I called in some help from a friend.
Hey everybody, I went out and got this asset from Marvel Duel, uploaded by Dreamer on DeviantArt, did some touch-ups like removing the double Ds, retextured it using Substance Painter so it could be a bit more accurate to the new show. Finally, I then rigged it and sent it over.
The next thing I did was add the game animation sample pack into the project because we get these really cool locomotion animations, and I'm sure it won't cause any major issues in the future, right? I then took HAEZ's Daredevil character and then I dropped him right into the game. Next, I set up his retargeting, which essentially means we can use these animations on our Daredevil character. I wanted to tackle the environment next and just do a simple blockout, which is where you create a really dumbed down version of your level. And this is so we can test the gameplay mechanics of the player in a more cramped up space, because the level is going to be quite small. Average. The level is going to be quite average. So enjoy me failing at making a map. I think I did an alright job, but I'm going to hand it off to HAEZ and see what he can do with it. In the meantime though, I'm going to work on Daredevil's billy clubs, which are essentially two batons that can be attached by a cable. And after many iterations, I got it looking pretty good. Oh, at least my mum thinks so. Anyways, I made it so you can lure enemies by hitting the baton against any object. Oh yeah, you can also hit them with it too. Alright, I'm going to take a break from the project and let's go see what HAEZ has been doing.
Next up, time to add some polish. So I noticed the visuals were a bit lacking, so I used a color lookup table, which color grades the scene to look like the show.
Magic.
Then I messed with the sky and weather effects. Finally, I added a personal light to Daredevil to keep him always in focus. Next, we're going to get our boy to be a bit more acrobatic with a wall jump to quickly get over fences and avoid enemies, air jumps for those long jumps, and some different landing animations based on how high you fell. Other than that, I just did an optimization pass and everything.
I noticed that the project files began to become a bit messy with all of the assets we were adding to the game, so I took it upon myself to just sort of tidy things up a little bit, and that is exactly where I fucked up. It was 2 AM, I was quite tired, and I started moving files through my file explorer. And for those of you who don't know, that completely unassigned everything. So materials now look like this, animation montages got completely corrupted, and sound cues had no more sound, which meant the game was pretty much unplayable, and I was very close to just cancelling this entire video.
So I got a call from MrKnowBody in a horrible state. He was going on, filled with regret, and as soon as he started even hint at dropping this project, I had to put a full stop on it there. I couldn't let that happen, so I took it upon myself to go in and fix everything. I stayed up pretty much all night while our favorite game dev was peacefully sleeping and tackled fixing every reference for animations, models, materials, and the scene. That was just the bare minimum of starting to get back on track for the project, so while I was here, I got this goon model from Arkham Batman, put him through the rigging machine and plopped him into Unreal. Then to get things rolling for the AI, I set up basic perception on the AI controller, but then suddenly I crashed from being up so late, so I'm gonna be a jerk and let MrKnowBody do the worst thing to make in game dev, AI. Good luck.
Right, I've got to work on the AI now, but before we do that, I'm going to quickly add my combat component to the project. Whoa, 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 whoa. You don't know what my combat component is?
No.
It's only just an actor component that is incredibly easy to use, which will instantly add light attacks, heavy attacks, rolls, finishes, and more. It's as simple as just dragging and dropping it onto your player character. And it is fully customizable, which means you can use high quality animations and get it looking something like this. You can get it from the link in the description underneath this video. I think it's time we start working on the AI now, because this guy just started walking backwards and I have no idea why. AI is a pain to work with, but you know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So we're going to use the same movement system as we used for the player, because the player's one looks good, so why not just use it on the AIs? And that is exactly where the problem started. Meet AI Move 2. Now, this guy does exactly as it says on the tin. It will move the AI to a certain location using pathfinding, which is the method used to avoid trying to go through a wall or just trying to walk through an object. And now that sounds all pretty cool, right? Which would be true if it actually worked with the movement system we were using. So HAEZ did a crafty little solution with adding a movement input, because that's exactly how the player works. And that actually worked really well, except for the fact it doesn't do pathfinding, which means the AI would constantly try and walk through a wall and just get completely stuck, which really isn't ideal. We have two options to fix this. Option 1, completely code our own pathfinding system, or option 2, create a default character that can use the AI Move 2 node, which then the enemy can follow to do all the pathfinding. And you guess which one we chose to do. Yeah, option 2. I'm going to take a short break from AI and move on to something different. So we currently don't really have a way to display Daredevil's enhanced senses.
I'm a really good lawyer.
Which is why I got this X-ray component from the marketplace. We modified it slightly and this is how it looks. We then made it so you could hear the heartbeats of whoever you're looking at. And we can even choose how fast or slow their heartbeat is depending on their state. I then went back to working on AI because there's a few more things I want to do to make you feel like you have enhanced senses. So I quickly made it so the AI can attack you. This was not that quick, I'm just pretending it was. And then HAEZ designed this cool radar sense, which notifies you before you're about to be attacked, which gives you some time to roll out of the way. I then added some on-screen arrows that will point you in the direction you're being attacked from. I then also used these same arrows as sort of a detection meter. So when the enemy sees you, they won't attack straight away, and it just gives you a second to hide. And if the enemy does see you, they will be calling their friends over. Next up is the group combat for the enemy AI. It's a little bit too chaotic if the enemies can't communicate with each other whilst they're attacking, and so now only one will attack at a time. The crowding of AI was making it really hard to fight them, so I did a little bit of maths, which will calculate a point near the player where the enemy can see them and is also a little bit spaced out from all the other enemies, and that seemed to do the trick. Another key element of a stealth game is being able to do silent takedowns on your enemies, so I added that. Another feature that I thought would be fun that also elevates the stealth aspect of the game was being able to turn the lights out. So I added a generator and made it so you can destroy it with your billy clubs. This makes it so the enemies can't call other enemies if they're being attacked. Don't ask why that works, because losing the ability to see doesn't affect your hearing, but zip it, smartass. The next thing we need is some kind of objective to achieve, and we decided to save a hostage as that's what he does quite a lot of times in the show. So once you've cleared all enemies from the level, you're then able to save the hostage. In doing so, it will display the amount of time it took you to save them, and that's pretty much the whole game loop. With that done, it's time for those sweet finishing touches. So to make this a proper game, I created this main menu, which I'm hoping HAEZ will improve upon a bit later. We actually have a pretty decent settings menu, which has gameplay settings where you can change the difficulty, one of which is first person mode, where your vision looks like this. Good luck with that one. Then I just added the basic video settings, audio settings, and a credits menu. Finally, I added some achievements. So if you want to try platinum the game, then be my guest. With that being said, the game is available on itch.io for completely free. The link for that is in the description underneath this video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like the video, and go check out my combat system, which you can use for your own games. It's only $5, less than a Starbucks coffee. As I update the system more and add more features, the price of it will increase. So get it now whilst it's cheap, and you'll receive all future updates that I make to it. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.
Hello, Karen. It's nice to see you again.